The scent of pine and winter always precedes him. It is a clean, sharp scent, the kind that promises frost on window panes and the deep silence of a snow-covered forest. For most in the Silver Moon Pack, it is the scent of safety, of power, of their alpha king. For me, it is the scent of a cage I cannot escape. I am Lyra, a wolfless omega, a servant in the king's own palace. My world is one of polished floors, folded linens, and the ever-present ache of being less. In a world of predators, I am prey that has been granted the strange privilege of living inside the lion's den so long as I remember to stay small and silent. My wolf, or the space where she should be, is a hollow cavern inside my chest. Others feel the thrum of a second heart, the primal growl of their inner beast. I feel only a quiet echo, a deficiency that marks me as broken. It is why I am here, scrubbing stone floors on my hands and knees, instead of running with a pack under the full moon. My mother, bless her weakening heart, sent me here believing the palace was the safest place for a girl like me. Safe, perhaps, but safety is just another word for invisibility. The only thing that anchors me is the thought of her. She is miles away, in the small village where I was born, her lungs growing weaker with each passing season. We write letters, our words a fragile bridge across the distance. Her last letter spoke of a persistent cough, of a cold she could not shake. I am waiting for the next one, with a dread that coils in my stomach like a serpent. The royal messenger knows to bring any letters for the staff directly to the kitchens. Every footstep in the main hall sends a tremor of anxious hope through me. Today is the day of the great mating ball, an annual event where the unmated wolves of our pack and those from allied territories gather in hopes of finding their fated. Drinks, a ghost in gray linen moving drinks, a ghost in gray linen moving through a sea of silk and jewels. I keep my eyes down, my presence meant to be felt no more than a whisper of air. But the fates are cruel jesters. As I navigate the throng, a careless noble jostles my elbow. The tray of crystal glasses tilts. I gasp, trying to right it, but it is too late. It clatters to the floor, a symphony of shattering glass that silences the entire ballroom. Every head turns, every eye fixes on me. The clumsy Omega maid kneeling in a puddle of spilled wine and broken crystal. My heart hammers against my ribs, a frantic bird trapped in a cage of bone. And then, the scent of pine and winter cuts through the silence. Sharp and overwhelming, Alpha King Kyle stands before me. He is taller than I imagined, a monolith of power and authority. His eyes, the color of molten gold, burn into me. The room holds its breath. I expect a snarl, a dismissal, the cold fury of a king inconvenienced. I do not expect the world to tilt on its axis. The moment his gaze meets mine, a jolt of pure energy, hot and electric, rips through me. The hollow space in my chest ignites with a blinding, golden light. A voice, ancient and powerful, screams a single word in my soul. Mate. My breath catches. It is impossible. A wolfless Omega and the Alpha King? The fates would not be so cruel as to be kind. He stumbles back a step, his hand going to his chest. His golden eyes widen, a flicker of disbelief warring with the raw shock of recognition. I can smell it on him, the sudden spike of his own scent, the primal possessiveness that floods the air. His wolf, a beast of legend, is roaring to the surface. Mine, the single word, echoes through the bond that has just snapped into place between us, a living thing of light and heat. For a dizzying, impossible second, hope blooms in my chest, a fragile, beautiful flower in a wasteland. Then I see his eyes travel over my drab servant's dress, my calloused hands, and the invisible mark of my wolflessness that everyone seems to see. The shock in his eyes curdles into something else. Disgust. His handsome face twists into a sneer. The golden light of the bond flickers, assaulted by a wave of cold contempt. No, he growls, the word a physical blow. He says it to himself, to his wolf, to the fates. But his eyes are locked on me. He takes a step forward, his shadow falling over me. The entire court watches, rapt. This is not the joyous celebration of a fated pair. This is a spectacle. I, Alpha King Kale of the Silver Moon Pack, he proclaims, his voice ringing with absolute authority, each word a hammer blow against my soul. Reject you, Lyra, as my mate and future Luna. The words shatter the fragile hope inside me. The bond between us, once a vibrant gold, turns to searing, agonizing fire. It feels like he has reached into my chest and ripped out my heart. A collective gasp ripples through the crowd. A public rejection. It is the ultimate humiliation, a sentence of social death. I cannot breathe. The pain is a physical thing, stealing the air from my lungs, blurring my vision with tears I refuse to let fall. As I kneel there, broken and exposed, a movement at the edge of the room catches my eye. A royal messenger, his face pale, holds a single, sealed letter. My letter. My heart lurches. He sees me, sees the king standing over me, and hesitates. But his duty is clear. He approaches the dais, bowing low before call. Your Majesty, the messenger says, his voice trembling. A letter for the servant, Lyra. It was marked urgent. My head snaps up. A desperate, ragged sound escapes my throat. My mother. It has to be from her. Flick from me to the letter. He plucks it. Flick from me to the letter. He plucks it from the messenger's grasp before I can touch it. He holds it between his thumb and forefinger, as if it is something unclean. The help does not receive personal correspondence during their duties, he states, his voice dripping with disdain. He looks down at me, his lip curled. Your focus should have been on your tasks, not on distractions. No, please, I beg, the word torn from my soul. It's from my mother. She's sick. Please, I need to read it. He ignores my plea. His gaze sweeps over the silent, watching court. He is making an example of me. He is showing them all what happens to defects who dare to dream. He is erasing the stain of my existence from his. With a deliberate, contemptuous slowness, he brings his hands together. Rip! The sound of tearing parchment is louder than the shattering glass. He rips the letter in half, then again, and again. The small, white pieces of my world, of my mother's last words, flutter down like bitter snow, settling in the puddle of wine at my feet. The ink blurs, her handwriting dissolving into meaningless black streaks. Something inside me breaks. Not the bond, that is already a screaming wound. This is something deeper, the last tether to the person I was. The king turns his back on me, addressing his court as if I am nothing more than the dirt on the floor. Remove this thing from my sight, he commands. She is banished. I want her beyond the borders of this kingdom by sunrise. She is no longer of the Silver Moon Pack. 2 guards haul me to my feet. My legs will not hold me. I do not fight. I cannot feel anything but the echoing tier of paper and the cold, hollow cavern in my chest, now filled with an agony so vast it has no name. They drag me from the ballroom. past the staring faces of the nobles, their expressions a mixture of pity and morbid fascination. As they pull me through the palace doors and into the cold night air, the scent of pine and winter fades, replaced by the smell of rain and dying leaves, and I finally allow myself to scream. 3 years later, the memory is a scar, a ridge of hardened tissue over a wound that never truly healed. The pain of the bond is a constant dull ache, a phantom limb that reminds me of what was torn away. But I survived. Banishment was meant to be a death sentence for a wolfless Omega. The wilderness does not care for titles or rejections. It only cares about strength. And in my weakness, I found a different kind. After weeks of starving, of sleeping in hollow logs and foraging for berries, I was found by a man named Liam. He was a beta from a neighboring pack, but he lived apart, running a sanctuary in the disputed borderlands, a place for outcasts, for exiles, for those who did not fit. He found me half dead, curled beneath an overhang of rock, and he did not see a defect. He saw a survivor. Liam's sanctuary, a small hidden village called Haven, became my home. He taught me to track, to hunt with a bow, to fight with a knife. He showed me that strength was not just about the beast within, but about the will of the person holding it. The work was hard, my body changing, hardening. The soft hands of a servant became the calloused, capable hands of a warrior. The downcast eyes learned to meet any gaze without flinching. I was no longer the invisible maid. Here, I was seen. But something else had changed within me. Something that had started that day I hit rock bottom in the forest. A flicker of silver light, a spark of dormant power I did not understand. It grew slowly, a secret warmth inside me. Sometimes, under the full moon, while others shifted, I would feel a strange pull, not of a wolf, but of the moon itself. The light seemed to sing to my blood, and a faint, silvery aura would shimmer around my hands. I told no one, fearing it was another mark of my brokenness. The external threat came without warning. They were called the Umbra, creatures of shadow and nightmare that bled out from the deepest parts of the forest. They were fast, silent, and deadly, their claws like obsidian glass. They were drawn to fear and despair, and the borderlands had plenty of both. They began to attack travelers, then small homesteads, and now they were testing the defenses of Haven. We fought them, a small band of outcasts against a tide of darkness. It was during one of these attacks, a brutal, desperate fight under a new moon, that my secret was revealed. I was cornered, Liam was down, and an Umbra beast, larger than the rest, loomed over me, its mouth dripping shadow. Death was a breath away. Panic and adrenaline surged through me, and with it, the silver light. It did not flicker this time. It exploded. A torrent of pure liquid moonlight erupted from my body, slamming into the Umbra and dissolving it into a shriek of fading smoke. The other creatures recoiled, hissing at the light, before melting back into the forest. I stood in the sudden silence, panting, my hands glowing with a soft lunar radiance. The hollow space in my chest was no longer empty. It was filled with a calm, immense power. A new voice, ancient and serene, whispered in my mind. Not a wolf's growl, but something far older. Light. We are the light. I was not wolfless. I was something else entirely. Something forgotten. Liam, his arm bleeding, but his eyes wide with awe, helped me piece it together from old legends. I was a lunar wolf, a descendant of a bloodline thought to be extinct. We did not shift into beasts of fur and fang. We commanded the light of the moon itself, a power that was anathema to the shadows. My defect was my greatest strength. The wolfless Omega was dead. In her place stood a guardian. From my own place of suffering, I can almost feel an echo of another's. It is a strange, unwelcome sensation, a dissonant chord played on the broken string of the mate bond. I try to ignore it, to cut it out, but it lingers at the edges of my senses. It is an ache of loneliness, of a deep, gnawing regret that is not my own. I tell myself it is a ghost, a trick of the mind. I have my own life now, my own purpose. I am the protector of Haven. I have no room for the ghosts of kings. My name is Kale, and my wolf is trying to kill me. He does not use claws or teeth. He uses silence. For 3 years, the great beast that shares my soul, the source of my alpha power, has been a phantom. He gives me the strength I need to rule, to lead my pack. But the companionship, the internal dialogue, the primal unity is gone. It has been replaced by a constant humming accusation. You broke her. You broke us. His name is Rage, and for 3 years, he has directed all of it at me. Sleep offers no escape. Every time I close my eyes, I see her face. The hope that bloomed there for a single, breathtaking moment. The utter devastation that followed. I see her small, trembling hand reaching for a letter. I hear the sound of parchment tearing, a sound that now haunts my waking moments. I found out what was in the letter 2 days after I banished her. The messenger, consumed by guilt, confessed to one of my advisors. It was not a simple note. It was her mother's last words. The woman had passed away that morning, and her final wish was for her daughter to know she was loved and that she should be brave. I did not just rip up a letter. I ripped up a dying mother's blessing. I stole a child's final goodbye. The knowledge of it settled in my gut like a stone, a weight I carry every single day. My kingdom feels my brokenness. Our borders are less secure, our harvests less bountiful. The pack is restless, feeling the disquiet in their alpha. They feel the absence of their Luna, a gaping hole in the spiritual fabric of our pack. I have tried to move on. I have attended other mating gatherings, met with powerful alpha females from allied packs, but it is useless. The bond to Lyra, though rejected, is still there. A burning, severed thing that refuses to let me go. Her scent, lavender, and something ethereal I now know is moonlight, haunts me. I smell it on the breeze, in my empty bed, in the council chambers. My wolf refuses any other. She is ours, he snarls in rare moments of communication, his voice raw with pain. Or no one is. Now, a new threat has risen. The Umbra. They started as whispers in the borderlands, dismissed as folk tales, but now they are a plague. They are pouring into my lands, impervious to our warriors' strength. They are creatures of pure shadow, and our claws and teeth find little purchase. My seers have been in a trance for weeks, seeking answers. Yesterday they woke up, their eyes wide with terror and a sliver of hope. The Umbra are servants of an ancient darkness, a being that fears only one thing, the moon's light. They told me of a forgotten bloodline, the lunar wolves, wielders of that light, a lineage we all thought had vanished from the earth. According to the seers, only a true lunar heir can repel this tide of darkness. And then they delivered the final, devastating blow. The magic tells them there's only one left, a woman, cast out and abandoned, whose power has been awakened by grief and hardship. My rejected mate, Lyra. The irony is a blade twisting in my gut. The salvation of my kingdom rests with the woman I publicly humiliated and threw away. The defect I deemed unworthy is the only one who can save us. My pride, my arrogance, my cruel, foolish pride has brought my kingdom to the brink of annihilation. I must find her, not just for my kingdom, but for the sliver of a chance at redemption. I have to face her, to look into the eyes of the woman I broke and beg for her help. My wolf, for the first time in years, stirs with something other than silent rage, a flicker of desperate hope. Find her, make it right. The journey to the borderlands will be perilous, but it is nothing compared to the terror of standing before her once more. I am not afraid of the Umbra. I am afraid of the look in her eyes when she sees me again. Liam has become a dear friend, a brother. He is kind and steady, his presence a balm on my jagged nerves. He looks at me and sees a warrior, a leader. He never knew the girl who scrubbed floors, and for that, I am grateful. There is an unspoken affection between us, a potential for a quiet, gentle life. He represents a future of peace, a life built on respect instead of a fated cosmic cruelty. He is the safe harbor I never thought I would find. And yet, I hesitate. To accept him would feel like a lie, for the ghost of the bond still whispers to me in the dead of night. It is a faint, painful echo, but it is there, a reminder of the king who smells of pine and winter. The attacks from the Umbra are becoming more frequent, more organized. They are testing our defenses, searching for something, searching for me. I can feel their dark, hungry consciousness pressing at the edges of my mind. They are drawn to my light like moths to a flame they wish to extinguish. We are preparing for another assault when the sentries sound the alarm. But it is not the silent, creeping dread of the Umbra they announce. It is the arrival of a party of wolves, heavily armed and flying the banner of the Silver Moon Pack, the banner of the king. My heart stops. Every muscle in my body goes rigid. Liam comes to my side, his hand on his sword, his expression grim. "What do they want?" he asks, his voice low. "Me," I say, my own voice a stranger's, cold and brittle. I stand on the wooden palisade of Haven, looking down as the party halts before our gates. And there he is, Alpha King Kyle. He looks different, older. There are shadows under his eyes that were not there before, and his broad shoulders carry a weight that seems heavier than just his crown. But the scent is the same, pine and winter rolling off him in waves, and it hits me with the force of a physical blow. The dormant bond shrieks to life, a sudden agonizing flare of heat and pain that makes me gasp. My hand flies to my chest, to the place where the scar of his rejection is carved into my soul. His eyes find me instantly. Across the distance, I feel the shock of his gaze. He is not looking at a servant girl. He is looking at a woman clad in dark leather, a bow slung across her back, her expression forged in ice. His golden eyes widen, and I can smell it even from here, the dizzying spike in his scent. Longing, guilt, desperation. It is a toxic, intoxicating cocktail that makes my head spin. The Umbra choose that moment to attack. They surge from the forest behind Kale's party, a tide of living shadow. His warriors are skilled, but they are unprepared for the way the creatures move, the way their claws pass through armor. Chaos erupts. "Open the gates," I command. "Let them in." Liam nods, shouting the order. As the Silver Moon wolves retreat into Haven, we meet the Umbra at the threshold. I draw my knives, Liam at my side, our people forming a wall of defiance. Kyle and his guards turn to join the fight, and for a moment, we are back to back, fighting a common enemy. The proximity to him is torture. The bond screams, a whirlwind of his regret and my fury, of his wolf's desperate hope and my heart's searing pain. It is a dizzying, chaotic storm inside me. I move through the battle like a phantom. I am not the king's warrior. I am Haven's guardian. I let the moonlight within me flow, channeling it into my blades. They glow with a soft, silver light, and each strike that connects with an umbra makes it discorporate with a piercing shriek. From the corner of my eye, I see Kale watching me. He falters in his own fight, his movements momentarily stunned as he witnesses my power. He is seeing the truth of what he threw away. He is seeing the wolfless defect become the one thing standing between his people and utter darkness. The power clash is not one of swords or claws. It is in that look. He came here as a king seeking a tool. He has found a queen who needs nothing from him. When the last of the Umbra have been dispatched, an uneasy silence falls over the courtyard. My people and his stare at each other, weapons still drawn. I stand, chest heaving, silver light still faintly pulsing around my hands. Kale takes a step toward me, his face a mask of complex emotions. "Lyra," he says, his voice rough as if he has not used it in years. I hold up a hand, stopping him. "You are Alpha King Kal," I state, my voice devoid of any warmth. "Here, in Haven, you are a guest, and you will state your purpose for coming here. To me." The authority in my tone is unmistakable. It is not a request. It is a command. His guards bristle, but he waves them down. The power dynamic has been irrevocably inverted. He is the supplicant. I am the one with the power. He looks at me, the king who banished me, and for the first time since I have known him, he looks truly, utterly lost. The sight gives me no satisfaction, only a cold, hollow echo of the pain he caused. The reunion is not a balm. It is a fresh wound on top of an old one. We meet in the Longhouse, the central gathering place of Haven. I sit at the head of the long table, a position usually reserved for Liam. He stands at my right, a silent, supportive presence. Kale sits opposite me, his elite guards standing behind him. The air is thick with tension, with the unspoken history that hangs between us like a shroud. He has not taken his eyes off me, his gaze a heavy weight I refuse to acknowledge. "You asked my purpose," he begins, his voice low and strained. "My kingdom is under attack. The Umbra are pouring across the borders. My warriors cannot stop them. Our seers say that only a lunar wolf can turn the tide." His golden eyes finally meet mine, and they are filled with a torment that is almost palpable. "They say that you are the last one." "So you came seeking a weapon," I reply, my voice flat. I pick up a knife from the table, testing its edge with my thumb, a deliberate, dismissive gesture. "You cast me out to die, and now you come to my door, asking me to save you." A muscle jumps in his jaw. "Yes," he says, the word raw. "That is the truth of it. I am asking you to save the people you once belonged to. The people I failed." "They are not my people," I say, the words like chips of ice. "You made that clear. You stripped me of my pack, my home. I have my own people to protect now." I gesture to the room, to Liam. "Haven is my home." "Lyra, he starts, his voice cracking with an emotion he cannot seem to contain. "I have no interest in your apologies or explanations, Your Majesty." I cut him off sharply. "We are discussing a strategic alliance, nothing more." The Umbra are a threat to my people as well. If we fight them together, as equals. Haven is not your territory. I am not your subject. Are those terms clear? Each word is a carefully aimed arrow, and I see them land. He flinches, but he nods. They are clear. Good, I say, rising. Your warriors may be quartered in the West Barracks. You will be housed in the guest lodge. We will discuss strategy in the morning. I turn to leave. The meeting concluded. I cannot bear to be in the same room with him for a moment longer. The bond is a screaming thing, a cacophony of his self-loathing and my own tightly controlled fury. He calls my name, his voice desperate. Lyra, wait! I pause at the door, my back to him. What is it? The letter, he says, his voice barely a whisper. I know what it was. I know what I did. My blood runs cold. I turn slowly, my face an emotionless mask, but inside, a volcano is erupting. You know nothing, I say, my voice dangerously soft. Your mother. He chokes on the word. The messenger told me. He told me she had passed, that those were her last words to you. There is no excuse, no apology that could ever be enough for what I stole from you. It was a monstrous act, and it has haunted me every day for 3 years. The confession hangs in the air, heavy and suffocating. He expected it to break me, perhaps, to see me weep. But the girl who cried is long gone. Is no apology that is enough. Now, if you is no apology that is enough. Now, if you are finished, I have duties to attend to. I walk out without a backward glance, leaving him standing there in the ruins of his confession. The alliance is a necessity. The forced proximity is a form of torture I must endure. But as I step out into the cool night air, I know one thing with absolute certainty. He can beg for my help, but he will never have my forgiveness. That is a price he can never pay. The days that follow are a study in exquisite torment. We are forced to work together, poring over maps, planning patrols, fortifying Haven's defenses. Kale is a brilliant strategist, his mind sharp and incisive. He defers to my knowledge of the Umbra, and in our war councils, he treats me as an equal, a queen in her own right. His guards watch the interactions with barely concealed confusion. To me, to find moments alone, but I am to me, to find moments alone, but I am a master of evasion. I surround myself with my people, with Liam, creating a buffer he cannot breach. The bond, however, is a traitor. It broadcasts his emotions directly into my soul. The constant crushing wave of his regret is exhausting. His desperate longing for a forgiveness I will not give is a persistent pressure against my mental shields. His wolf is a tangible presence now, too. I can feel its energy coiling beneath Kyle's skin, a restless, miserable beast. It reaches for me across the bond, not with the arrogance of an alpha, but with a plea, a deep, mournful howl that I can feel in my bones. Mate, forgive, whole. I ruthlessly shut it out. His beast's pain is not my concern. One evening, after a particularly brutal skirmish with the Umbra on the eastern perimeter, I am tending to my warriors in the infirmary. Liam is beside me, his own arm bandaged, his face grim. He has been quiet lately, watchful. He is breaking himself apart trying to reach you, Liam says softly, not looking at me as he tightens a dressing on a young fighter's leg. Let him break, I reply, my voice hard. I am cleaning an arrow wound, my movements precise and detached. Lyra, he says, his gentle voice a stark contrast to my own. I have seen the way he looks at you. It is more than guilt. He is a man dying of thirst, and you are the only water in the desert. He is the one who poisoned the well, I retort, my hands stilling for a moment. I look at Liam, at his kind, honest face. He offers safety, a life without this constant churning agony, a life where I could perhaps forget the scent of pine and winter. Perhaps, Liam says, finally meeting my gaze, want you to be happy, Lyra. Whether that want you to be happy, Lyra, whether that is here, with me, in peace, or through that storm, you deserve a life that is whole. His words are a gift, a release I did not know I needed. He is giving me an out, not from Haven, but from the unspoken promise that lay between us. He is telling me that he sees the truth, and he will not stand in the way of it, no matter how much it might hurt him. He is a better man than Cale ever was. The thought brings me no comfort, only a fresh wave of grief for the simple life I can never have. Later that night, unable to sleep, I walked to the edge of the palisade, seeking the cold comfort of the moon. Her light is a familiar balm, soothing the turmoil inside me. I am not surprised when I hear footsteps behind me. I do not need to turn to know who it is. The scent of him is a constant ache. You cannot avoid me forever, Kyle says, his voice quiet. I can try, I reply, not turning. You have your alliance. That is all you will get from me. It is not all I want. What you want is irrelevant. He moves to stand beside me, not too close, but near enough that the energy between us crackles. Iken was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised by a single mother. I was a fool, a proud, arrogant fool, raised to believe that strength was everything and that any perceived weakness was a threat to my rule. My father drilled it into me. The pack must be perfect. The Luna must be a symbol of power. When the bond snapped into place and I saw that you had no wolf, I panicked. It was fear, cowardice. I saw my entire world, everything I had been taught, crumbling, and I reacted with cruelty because I was afraid. I remained silent, my jaw clenched. His excuses mean nothing. He continues, his voice breaking. But my wolf, he knew. From the first second, he knew. He has not let me forget it. Not for one moment. He has been punishing me, Lyra. For 3 years, I have lived in a silent hell of my own making. And ripping that letter? It was not about you. It was about me. It was a vile, unforgivable act of lashing out at the fates, at the bond, at my own weakness. And I used you, and your mother's memory, to do it. It is the greatest shame of my life, and I will carry it to my grave. He stops, his breath ragged. He is laying his soul bare, offering me the broken pieces of his pride. I slowly turn to face him, my expression unreadable in the moonlight. And what do you expect me to do with this confession, Kyle? I ask, my voice dangerously calm. He looks at me, his golden eyes shimmering with unshed tears. And then he does something that shocks me to my core. He goes down, not to one knee, but to both, sinking to the wooden platform at my feet. He bows his head, the great Alpha King, kneeling in the dirt before his rejected mate. He bares his throat, the ultimate gesture of submission. Nothing, he whispers, his voice thick with unspeakable pain. I expect nothing. I am not asking for your forgiveness. I am not asking for you to accept the bond. I am not asking for anything. I am giving you the truth, and I am giving you my life. It is yours to take. If you command it, I will end it here and now. It would be a just punishment. But if you choose to let me live, then I will spend every remaining second of my existence trying to atone for what I did. I will protect you. I will fight for you. I will serve you. You can have my crown, my kingdom, my life. It is all yours. Just tell me what to do. This is it, the grovel, the complete and utter surrender of his pride, his power, his very life. It is more than I ever expected, more than I ever thought possible. He is offering me complete freedom, complete power over him, even if it means his own destruction. He is finally acknowledging my pain without centering his own. The sight of him, this powerful king, so utterly broken at my feet, does not bring me triumph. It brings me a deep, shuddering wave of sorrow. The man kneeling before me now is the mate his wolf knew he should have been 3 years ago. But is it too late? I look down at him, at the bared column of his throat, at the proud shoulders shaking with the force of his confession. The moon's light bathes us both, a silent, celestial witness. My inner voice, the calm, ancient power within me, whispers a single, unexpected word. Listen. I do not answer him. I cannot. The words are lodged in my throat, a knot of grief and fury and a terrifying flicker of something else, something I buried 3 years ago. I turn and walk away, leaving him kneeling in the moonlight. I need to think. I need to breathe air that is not saturated with the scent of his regret. His submission is absolute, his apology genuine. but the ghost of a torn letter still stands between us, its ink bleeding into the shape of a wound that may never close. The final battle is upon us. Our scouts report a massive gathering of Umbra in the Shadowfen, a cursed marshland a day's ride from Haven. At their center is a being of immense power, a concentration of darkness so profound it blots out the stars. The Umbra Lord. It is the source, the heart of the plague, and it is calling to me. I can feel its cold, possessive thoughts sliding against my defenses, hungry for my light. Come, little moon, it whispers in my mind. Let the darkness consume you. We ride out at dawn, a small, elite force of Haven's best fighters and Kale's royal guard, a desperate alliance against an overwhelming foe. Liam rides on my left, his face set with grim determination. Kyle rides on my right. He has not tried to speak to me since his confession on the palisade. He is simply a presence, a quiet, powerful shadow dedicated to my protection. He is keeping his word. His actions are his only language now. When we are attacked by Umbra skirmishers, he is a whirlwind of silver and steel, positioning himself to take the brunt of every assault, his body a living shield between me and danger. We reach the Shadowfen as twilight bleeds across the sky. The air is cold and smells of decay. The Umbra Lord waits for us in a clearing of dead trees, a towering figure of shifting shadow and burning malevolent eyes. It is more terrifying than I could have imagined. The lunar air, it hisses, its voice the sound of grinding stone. You have come to be extinguished. The battle begins. It is a chaotic, swirling melee of light and shadow. I am the focal point. The Umbra Lord ignores all others, its attention fixed solely on me. It sends waves of its lesser creatures to wear me down, while it launches attacks of pure void energy that I have to counter with blasts of my own lunar light. The effort is draining me, my reserves of power burning away like a candle in a hurricane. Section Kale and Liam fight like demons, trying to carve a path to me, to give me support, but they are bogged down by the sheer number of creatures. I am isolated, locked in a duel of wills with a being of ancient darkness. You are strong, the Umbra Lord concedes, after I vaporize another wave of its minions. But you are alone. Your power is an echo of a dead age. It turns its burning gaze towards Kal, who is desperately fighting his way closer. Alpha King, it hisses, its voice slithering into all our minds. You see how she struggles. This is a battle she cannot win, but you can survive. Your kingdom can be spared. I will grant you this. Betray her. Leave her to me, and I will turn my tide away from your lands. A simple choice. Chose his pride over his mate. Might have chose his pride over his mate. Might have considered it. I brace myself, a part of me expecting the sting of a second betrayal. Kale does not hesitate. He does not even pause. He just throws his head back and laughs, a raw, defiant sound. There is no choice, he roars, his voice ringing with an absolute conviction that shakes me to my core. There is no kingdom without her. With a ferocious snarl, he finally breaks through the line of Umbra separating us. But the Umbra Lord was expecting it. It was a distraction. As Kale lunges forward, the creature unleashes a spear of pure shadow, not at him, but at me. It moves faster than anything I have ever seen. I have no time to raise a shield. I have no time to do anything but watch death scream towards me. Kyle sees it. In that split second, his choice is made. With a guttural cry, he throws himself in front of me. He does not try to block it. He takes it. The spear of darkness impales him through the side, lifting him from his feet and throwing him backwards. He lands in a heap on the ground, a terrible, gaping wound in his torso from which darkness, not blood, seems to be seeping. Kyle! My scream is a raw, ragged thing. At the sight of him, broken and dying for me, shatters the final wall of ice around my heart. The fury, the pain, the bitterness I have nursed for 3 years, it all melts away in a tidal wave of fierce, protective love. The man who just gave his life for me is not the king who rejected me. He is the mate my soul has been crying for. My choice is made. A new power, born of love and rage, surges through me. It is brighter, hotter, more potent than anything I have ever felt. My body explodes with silver light, a miniature sun in the heart of the swamp. Mine, the voice of my lunar soul roars. You will not have him. I rise into the air, a being of pure, incandescent light. The Umbra Lord recoils, shielding its eyes. It has miscalculated. It thought to break me by killing him. Instead, it has unleashed me. You are nothing but a shadow, I say, my voice echoing with the power of the moon itself. And shadows exist only to be cast out by the light. I extend my hands, and a beam of concentrated moonlight, white-hot and absolute, slams into the Umbra Lord. It screams, a sound that tears at the fabric of reality as its shadowy form is unmade, dissolved, and utterly destroyed. As its essence vanishes, so too do its minions, fading into wisps of smoke across the battlefield. Silence falls over the Shadowfen, broken only by the groans of the wounded. I rush to Kale's side. He is pale, his breathing shallow. The dark wound is pulsing, consuming him from the inside. Liam is already there, trying to staunch the flow of darkness, but it is a magical affliction, beyond his healing skills. Lyra, Kyle whispers, his golden eyes finding mine. He reaches up, his hand trembling, and touches my cheek. You are safe. Tears stream down my face, hot and cleansing. Don't you dare leave me, I choke out. Not now. I place my hands over his wound. I can feel the darkness, cold and greedy, fighting me. But I can also feel the bond, the thin, damaged thread between us. He proved his change. Now I must make my choice tangible. I close my eyes and reach for him, not just with my power, but with my soul. I accept you, Kyle. I send the thought through the bond, a conscious, deliberate act of will. I claim you as my mate. A jolt, powerful and electric, arcs between us. The broken bond does not just heal, it reforges, stronger than before, a conduit of pure, unadulterated power. His essence flows into me, the strength of the Alpha King, the scent of pine and winter. And my essence flows into him, the light of the moon, the scent of lavender and starlight. Yours, his voice whispers back in my soul, weak but clear. Always yours. I pour my light into him, no longer fighting the darkness, but overwhelming it. I flush the shadows from his body, sealing the wound with silver fire. Color returns to his face. His breathing deepens. The wound is gone, leaving only a faint silvery scar in its place. Our power combined has healed him. Our bond, completed, has saved him. He is alive. We are whole. The journey back to his kingdom is not one of a conqueror and his prize. It is the return of two sovereigns, equals in power and purpose. When we arrive at the gates of the Silver Moon Palace, the pack is there to greet us. They see their king, alive and whole, and they see me at his side. They see the faint, silvery scar on his side, and the matching lunar light that seems to emanate from my skin. They do not see a wolfless Omega. They see their salvation. They see their Luna. The Royal Council is not so easily swayed. They are old wolves, steeped in tradition and prejudice. They remember the girl I was, and they cannot comprehend the woman I have become. She is a wolfless Omega. Lord Valerius, the head of the council, protests during our first meeting. She cannot be our Luna. It is against all tradition. Before I can speak, Kal rises. His voice is calm, but it carries the unmistakable weight of the Alpha King. The traditions you speak of led me to make the gravest error of my life. They blinded me to the truth. Lyra is not wolfless. She is more. Her power saved this kingdom when our claws and teeth could not. She is my fated mate, my equal, and she will be your queen. This is not a debate. He looks at me, a silent apology in his eyes for the prejudice I still face. I give him a small nod and then turn my attention to Valerius. I let a small amount of my power flare, my eyes glowing with a soft silver light. The temperature in the room drops. Lord Valerius, I say, my voice quiet but resonating with an ancient authority. The moon does not ask the stones for permission to rule the night sky. It simply does. I am here. That is the only fact that matters now. You will accept it. The council is silent. They see the power. They feel the shift. They see the absolute unity between their king and me. They have no choice but to bow. The new dynamic is set. We are not king and consort. We are a king and a queen, a balance of earth and sky, of wolf and moon. Months later, the kingdom is healing. The lands are free from the Umbra, and a new sense of hope is taking root. The pack is slowly learning to accept a Luna whose power is different from anything they have known. They see the way their Alpha King looks at me, with a reverence and adoration that is plain for all to see. They see our combined strength, and they feel safe. One evening, Kal and I are standing on the same balcony where he first recognized me as his mate. The night is clear, the full moon hanging like a silver coin in the ink-black sky. He comes to stand behind me, wrapping his arms around my waist, pulling me back against his chest. The familiar scent of pine and winter is no longer a source of pain. It is the scent of home. He gently touches the spot over my heart, where the scar of his rejection, though faded, still resides on my soul. Does it still hurt? He asks, his voice a low murmur against my hair. I cover his hand with my own, leaning into his warmth. Sometimes, I admit softly, it is a part of our story. It is the price we paid. A price I forced upon you, he says, his voice thick with the memory of his shame. A price that made me who I am, I counter, turning in his arms to face him. I trace the faint silver scar on his side, the mark of his sacrifice. And it made you who you are. We are not the same two people who met in that ballroom. They were broken. We are scarred, Kyle, but we are whole. He leans down, his forehead resting against mine. His golden eyes, so full of love and respect, search mine. I will spend the rest of my life proving I am worthy of you, Lyra, every single day. You already are, I whisper. He kisses me then, a kiss that holds all the pain of our past and all the promise of our future. It is a kiss of atonement, of acceptance, of a love that was forged in fire and came out stronger than steel. The bond between us sings, a perfect, harmonious chord of light and shadow, of wolf and moon, of two souls who were broken apart, only to be pieced back together, not as they were, but as something far greater. Our beginning was a tragedy, an act of cruel humiliation. But here, now, in the quiet light of the moon, our forever is just beginning. It is earned, it is scarred, and it is ours.